A single click, sharp, focused, intentional. Then another, and another. The water around you trembles, not violently, but unmistakably, as if something vast is feeling its way through the dark. You're here, suspended in open water, and something is looking without eyes. The first click reaches you like a pressure wave, spreading through your ribs, humming through your chest. A diver once described it as being kicked in the chest by a horse. Not painful, just impossibly powerful. Impact carried through sound. Because for sperm whales, sound is sight. Their clicks can reach 236 decibels. One of the most powerful biological sounds on Earth. They don't always fire at full intensity, but when they do, the energy can travel across kilometers of open ocean, scanning everything in its path. Heat, vibration, echo. Each click slices through the dark, bounces off bone, muscle, and water, returning a three-dimensional acoustic map so detailed it borders on unreal. A biological CT scan performed by an animal older than most continents. They shouldn't exist, but they do. Inside that immense square head lies the spermaceti organ, part amplifier, part lens, part mystery. It focuses the clicks into beams, turning sound into a tool that reveals the world in pulses. Imagine that. Every contour of your body outlined in darkness, not by light, but by pressure and intention. The echoes return, and now the whale knows you. Everything is still. No drift, no current, only a quiet that feels older than the ocean itself. Shapes begin to materialize, towering, unmoving forms suspended in the water like the trunks of a drifting forest. Gray, massive, completely vertical. Sperm whales, sleeping upright. They hang motionless, noses angled upward, tails loose, as if listening to the faint memory of the surface far above. Scientists call this microsleeping, brief, partial rest that conserves energy in a world where long sleep is a risk. No one expected it. No one fully understands it. They sleep together, 5, 10, sometimes entire pods, aligned like pillars in a submerged cathedral. If one shifts, the others respond. If one stirs, they all rise. A choreography of awareness even in rest. Viewers call it haunting, beautiful, alien, because it is. In the dark, these giants resemble statues carved from the deep itself, a forest rooted not in soil but in silence. Their stillness is not emptiness but trust, a shared vulnerability in a realm where anything could approach. Heat, breath, heartbeat. This is the only time they surrender the abyss. The only time they let themselves drift. And even then, sleep never fully claims them. One half of the brain rests, the other half listens. Always listening. A world where sunlight never lived. And in it, whales dreaming vertically, tall as myths, quiet as memory. A sudden descent. Not rushed, not frantic, just deliberate. The whale drops through layers of water that grow colder, darker, heavier. With each meter, the world tightens, not enough to harm it, just enough to test everything evolution shaped for this exact journey. Here's the truth people argue about. At 3,000 meters, the pressure isn't 10 atmospheres. It's roughly 300 atmospheres, about 30 megapascals, a crushing force that would implode most unprotected spaces. And yet, sperm whales push through it again and again. They shouldn't exist, but they do. Their bodies solve problems that break almost everything else. Their lungs don't fight the pressure, they collapse safely. Their ribcage yields instead of resisting. Their blood and muscles hoard oxygen, hemoglobin loaded, myoglobin dense and dark, turning the body into a living reserve tank. Then there's the heart. Near the surface it can beat fast, but on a deep dive it slows dramatically, sometimes down near the low teens, stretching oxygen into hours of calm. A controlled descent into stillness. A biological strategy that protects the brain and the engines that matter while everything else powers down. Bones don't crush, they cooperate. The whole animal cooperates. Silence. Cold. Descent. But not everything in the deep is peaceful. There's another debate: naval sonar and other intense human-made noise. The concern isn't simple and the research is cautious, but the risk is real. Sudden loud sound can change behavior, scatter groups, and in some situations push whales to alter depth faster than they normally would, stacking stress on a system built for precision. This world is delicate, balanced between pressure, silence, and control. Heat, heat, heat. As the whale reaches hunting depth, heartbeat low, and oxygen rationed like currency, one truth becomes impossible to miss. It isn't built to survive the deep, it's built to master it. Motion. Fast. Purposeful. The whale accelerates through a darkness so complete it feels physical. Down here, sight is meaningless. Only echoes reveal the world, and in those echoes, movement. Something long, something rising. Not all squids are the same. Viewers often debate this, so let it be said plainly. Giant squid are long and slender, built for speed. Colossal squid are heavier, broader, armed with swiveling hooks on their tentacles. Both live in depths humans rarely touch. Both leave their marks, circular scars, wide, deep, unmistakable, cover the heads and bodies of sperm whales. These aren't legends, they're evidence of real conflict carved into living skin. The myth of the Kraken didn't come from imagination, it came from encounters like this. But why has no one filmed such a battle? Because almost nothing at this depth is visible. Light dies early, cameras struggle, and the animals themselves prefer what the dark provides: secrecy, heat, sound, approach. The whale fires a pattern of clicks, fast, probing. The squid answers with motion, tentacles flaring outward. A storm of muscle wrapped in silence. Could a squid kill a whale? People ask endlessly. Unlikely, but that doesn't make the encounter gentle. A squid this large can resist, latch on, and leave scars that last a lifetime. But the whale is larger still, stronger, and guided by sonar precision sharpened across millions of years. The clash is brief, silent, hidden. Only the scars return to the surface. Only the echoes remember the rest. For centuries, humans didn't meet sperm whales in the deep. They met them at the surface, where everything felt wrong. Imagine standing on a wooden deck in the 1700s as a massive square head rises through the fog, exhaling a plume of warm vapor. No one knew what they were, only that they were enormous, strange, and unlike anything described before. Fear filled the gaps in knowledge. Sailors called them sea devils, leviathans, the kraken. Stories spread of ships hearing rhythmic knocking from below, as if something vast was tapping against the hull. Some crews panicked, others prayed. They never realized it was communication, whales talking to each other beneath the waves. Then came the scars. When whales were hunted in numbers large enough for close inspection, crews found circular imprints, evidence of battles with giant or colossal squid. It terrified them. If whales looked like this, what else lived below? But fear turned into something else: industry. Inside that immense head was spermaceti, an oil that burned clean, bright, and steady. It didn't smoke, it didn't freeze. It lubricated machinery better than anything humans had. It became fuel for lamps, factories, cities. And so the hunt began. Whaling ships crossed entire oceans. Harpoons flew. Families of whales were scattered, pursued, exhausted. People watching today call it heartbreaking that even as they were hunted, sperm whales sometimes approach ships out of curiosity, an innocence that feels almost impossible to witness. Populations collapsed. Slow reproduction made recovery nearly impossible. By the early 1900s, entire regions had lost their whales. Yet they survived. Barely. Heat, silence, memory. The ocean changed in their absence. With fewer whales hunting squid, deep-sea populations shifted. Ecosystems rewrote themselves. And still, when the whaling era finally ended, the whales didn't turn away from humans. They didn't avoid us. They didn't retaliate. They simply continued, curious, calm, aware. A species we nearly erased, choosing understanding over fear. A pattern of clicks, soft at first, measured, intentional. Then the rhythm shifts, spaced intervals, repeating sequences, pulses that resemble structure, codas. Sperm whales speak in them, stitching together sound in ways that still challenge human understanding. Some patterns travel across miles, others belong only to specific families, specific clans. Dialects, earned, learned, taught. They shouldn't exist, but they do. A young calf listens for nearly 2 years before mastering its clan's coda. Practice, mimicry, correction. This isn't instinct, it's education, culture in the truest sense. Viewers suggest the clicks might form images, acoustic pictures constructed through pressure and echo. Perhaps. The idea isn't far-fetched when studying an animal whose brain is the largest on Earth, with vast regions devoted to processing sound, heat, thought, rhythm. Researchers use AI to decode these signals. Algorithms scan thousands of hours of recordings, looking for patterns humans cannot detect. Early results suggest something extraordinary: structure, variation, even rules. Not just communication, possibly language. But we must be careful. Anthropomorphism can distort the truth, projecting our thoughts onto theirs. Even so, the evidence is difficult to ignore. These animals show social intelligence, emotional depth, and cooperative behavior on a scale few species match. And here's the part that stays with viewers. Despite everything, centuries of hunting, fear, misunderstanding, when humans meet whales today, the whales respond with curiosity. They circle, they click gently, they wait. Not avoidance, not aggression. Connection. Giants with the strength to dominate the deep, choosing instead to understand. As if intelligence, at its highest form, seeks not power, but recognition. They shouldn't exist, but they do, and the deep still has more to show you. Subscribe to go deeper.